Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for that stunning introduction, even though it may have carried a tinge bit of hyperbole. You know, I'm just an ordinary girl. My life is not extraordinary. If anything, it's ordinary in an extraordinary way. I have faced challenges and I've healed from it. There have been instances when I haven't, and I shall carry that regret to my grave. So, this is Shreya Mukherjee, an ordinary girl with an extraordinary dream, perhaps. When we talk about kintsugi, how I like to define it as its beauty of imperfection. If we dive deeper into this term, it suggests that we bounce back after setbacks, heal from the cracks that break us. So, as already mentioned by the previous speakers, this Japanese art form makes usage of the gold to heal the broken bits of pottery, to heal the cracks, making it more beautiful than ever. Now, allow me to paint you all a picture. Once upon a time, in a quite ordinary village, there lived a small, curious boy, just like us. He would often wander through the fields, collecting wonders like flowers, pebbles, and the occasional fallen feather. So one day, as he was taking a stroll, he saw something unusual, a cocoon. It was perhaps his first time seeing one. As he leaned in closer, he saw a tiny butterfly trying to break free from the chrysalis of struggle. The boy couldn't bear to see the butterfly struggle. The butterfly's body was twisting and pressing against the walls of its prison. The boy's heart ached. It must be hurting, he thought. So the little boy tried to play God like most of us do in many situations. He gently slit open the cocoon, and the butterfly slipped out with ease. No more pain, no more struggle. The butterfly was finally free. Or was it? Because as the moments passed, something felt wrong. The butterfly's wings remained shriveled and limp. It tried to flutter, but its body was too weak. Its wings were too weak. They were not developed. What the boy didn't know was that this struggle was nature's way of strengthening the butterfly. Each pull and each push was meant to pump life into its wings, preparing it for the skies. By removing this struggle, the boy also removed the butterfly's chance to grow strong. And so, the butterfly could never fly. Now, what does this teach us? A. We don't achieve our potential unless we go through the pain that shapes us, unless we bear with the agonies of life that prepare us for the adversities. We're just mere puppets, and we succumb to the mundane courses of life. In other words, we become listless. We have no sense of adventure, no passion, no urge to thrive. And all this is a disgrace to the human race. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, and I quote, only the test of fire makes fine steel. So kintsugi plays an essential role in this context. So the backstory of this quote can be traced from the time when the former US president wrote a letter to his son's teacher, urging for his son to go through the battles and hardships, grits of life in order to become better. Without resilience, without the courage to rise from ashes, without the power to heal from cracks, we're simply letting our lives go in vain. There are problems in our life, and all these hurdles should be dealt with. Ignoring them, not acknowledging them, giving a cold shoulder to their existence does not make the problem disappear. It does not make the hurdle go away, which is why we have to deal with it. And you've done your share of dealing, and I've done mine. So let's take a memory, all right? So when I was in grade 9, I enrolled myself in an integrated coaching program because I wanted to pursue biotechnology. So the ninth grade girl thought that joining a coaching program would help. And boy, did it help. Just not in the way I thought it would. What I was completely unaware of, that in order to just survive within those four walls of prison, I had to sacrifice a ton of things. Being on that floor meant cutting off from everything and everyone. And for someone who invests a lot in friendships, it genuinely hurt me to the core when I saw all my friendships gradually drift away. And that wasn't intentional, it wasn't deliberate, it just happened. Everyone around me was driven with competition, and not the kind that motivates you, the kind that berates you. If anyone in the school knows me at all, it's due to my involvement in my ECAs. Any competition, any event, you name it, and I'm there. But what happened during that 1 year of fine solitary? No competition, no event. Not because I wasn't selected, but because I wasn't allowed to invest my time in any other place that did not involve modules and book sets. When I saw others getting opportunities that I yearned for, it made me furious. I was out of my mind, furious, and trust me, the rage was visible on my face. I started to loathe everything and everyone around me. I started to detest my subjects, and that feeling of hatred persisted. And we can say that my grades reflected that. And from where I was standing, no one saw this. People noticed, but no one saw. And I stood like a scarecrow. I was as still as the still waters, hoping for a tide to wash me away. And there came a tide, a therapy, or help as we call it. I resorted to words, to poetry to vent my feelings out. So one can say that poetry became my catharsis during the point of my life where everything around me was black and white. It became to my yang. Moving on to grade 11. So, the same career preference revealed, I still wanted to pursue biotechnology until one day when I was in the biology lab and we were supposed to do experiments. We were supposed to observe the microscopic organisms and note down their features. So, the task given to us for that day was to note these organisms on the basis of their shape, size, color, and then make observations. But my head just wasn't there that day. I was physically present, but mentally, my head lingered around the calm lyrics of Country Roads Take Me Home. And you all should be really thankful I did not sing that lyrics. Home. Then I realized this does not feel like home. Sitting in a lab doing these experiments, that doesn't really excite me. If anything at all, it irked me. So one could say that I started to dislike science. Then the world paused. Because if not science, then what? If I change my stream at this point of my life, what would people say? They'd probably mock me and be under the impression that I wasn't able to cope with the stress. Thousands of questions badgered my head. But then I realized it's my life. And the only person I have to make sense to is myself. Moving on, I started to explore more career options and I decided to go ahead with journalism because it's what spoke for me the best. So the most sane thing a person could have done was shift to humanities. But then again, aren't we all built on insanity? I didn't change my stream. I changed my board. I shifted to Cambridge. And I was excited because I got to be one of those cool IJ kids with a device in my hand, blue lockers, heavy books, looking all smart. But behind this paradigm, which seemed like a perfect life, there were thousands of problems related. I realized that coping with the AS levels, covering the backlog, finishing the syllabus that was already taught in the semester, that would just exacerbate my stress. And I did not want that. So thankfully, these were just the child classes, so I could have still gone back to CBSE. So the ideal step was to go back to CBSE and take humanities. So, did I go back to CBSE? Yes. Did I take humanities? No. I took commerce for some reason. Business kid and all. The point of me telling you this story is because I know that this is something that all adolescents go through. We're all badgered with career pressure, stream pressure, parental pressure, peer pressure, pressure overall. It's an endless loop of questions, confusion, and to some extent, even depression. And that is exactly why this story was told. Some students are not able to crack this Gordian knot. They succumb to depression. They are not weak, they're just not strong enough. Which is why it's important to realize what we truly want. Had I not realized where my potential truly lies, I wouldn't be standing here talking about a topic that is probably boring the audience. I would be sitting in a chemistry lab, mixing chemical potions, and trying not to break those fancy flasks and glasses. Had I not realized what I truly wanted, I would be the crippled butterfly. In fact, I liked having these changes. They made life more interesting. Because life usually is like this, and I like this. Now, let me ask you all a question. Why is being broken considered to be something bad? Why is it that we have attached a stigma to this very notion that if someone is feeling broken from within, they're not supposed to talk about it? Let's take the human heart, for instance. It's the most gullible part of a person, the most misunderstood part of a person, the most fragile part of a person. It breaks within seconds and takes decades to heal. I, however, have a different take on this. So, what happens is that when you face a setback, when you go through a heartbreak, there are small pieces formed, right? And each of these heart pieces definitely they shatter every bit of trust and hope you have. But each of these pieces teaches us endurance. Each piece has a story to tell. Just imagine if you've never gone through a heartbreak, your entire heart would be intact, which means just one story to tell. And how mundane would life be with just one story to tell? Which is why each of these pieces narrate a story, each story becomes history, and this history is what makes life worth living. Every attempt we take to get better changes us as a person. We're more strong than we were yesterday, more patient, more calm, or perhaps more agitated, more annoyed, more dejected. The point is, we feel a lot, and feelings are important to sustain life. Now, I'm not saying that every injury that hurts the fiber of your being will heal within the snap of a second, because it can't. There are stages you must overcome. Stages that account for denial, bargaining, grief, and a lot more. But remember, all of this is to one day walk on the aisle of tranquility, joy, and victory, because that is the ultimate destination. Now, let's shift the paradigm for a minute. I want you all to ponder deeply upon this very question. When you emerged into this realm of earth, did you come with just one purpose? Did your hand hold a to do list that you were supposed to finish during the given time of your life? Any prerequisites attached to your life? Any obligations attached to your name? No, right? So, what if you don't crack that one competitive exam? So, what if you don't get into your dream college? So, what if it's the end of a friendship? What you do after this setback defines who you truly are. The point you take after that setback carves the map to your final destination. Now, I'm not saying that these setbacks won't break you from within. In fact, if I don't get into my dream college, you'll probably find me bawling my eyes out, locking myself in a room, not eating food for days, well, hours. But what would hurt me even more is if I lose my spark that has brought me so far at that point of my life. I wouldn't want to give up then. I wouldn't want the little girl in me succumb to giving up. As Chanakya once said, and I quote, a mind once broken by misfortune, when mended with wisdom, becomes more precious than ever. For its scars are the gold that guard it. There may be moments in life when you feel so broken that you think it's over. I thought it was over when I saw my board results and I didn't see what I expected. I thought it was over when I saw my council results and didn't see what I wanted. I thought it was over when my essay didn't get selected for the Oxford summer program. I thought it was over when that one friendship didn't last. But it wasn't. It wasn't over because it's not over till I say it is. And it's not over for you till you say it is. Thank you. Have a great day.